What's up, everybody? I have this 𝐼RT guitar. I think it's pronounced 𝐼RT. It's stylized like it might be ear-T. You know what? I should probably look this up, huh? Just to make sure I'm not just botching this name.
On today's episode, we're going to be checking out a 𝐼RT.
All right, if Philip McKnight called it an 𝐼RT, we're just going to go with 𝐼RT then. Plugged into this Marshall something just fell. Plugged into this Marshall DSL 100. The reason I chose this amplifier, we'll get into the reason I chose this amplifier in just a minute here. I'm running an overdrive in front of this amplifier. It's The Devil by my company, Obsidian Audio. More information on that down in the description. That is disengaged right now. It's going through this Mesa 4x12 cabinet, pretty typical if you watch this channel. Now, this guitar showed up a couple of weeks ago. It's an 𝐼RT guitar. You get these on Amazon. You know, at least if you're in the US. Yeah, God, come out there. This is packed super nice. This is packed nicer than most very expensive guitars. We got some tools in here. Oh, we're gonna have a heel-mounted truss rod wheel adjustment thingy because the little bar's in here. There's extra 𝐼RT strings too. Maybe we'll set up this guitar. We'll put new strings on it. That's nice that they sent that. That actually helps out. Comes in a dust jacket and everything too. You know, so far, the quality on this guitar is, well, let's just open it up before I say anything. All right, wow, this finish is really cool. I like the knobs that are on here too. I don't know why I'm pulling on them like they're gonna be pull knobs, but split, oh, okay. Let's get this thing off the strings. This is a very solid looking guitar. If this guitar was from a bigger well-known brand like Fender or something like that, I would imagine this would probably go for more money. It's got some unique choices in the hardware, like the knobs here. The saddles that we have on the bridge are nice and smooth. The fretwork is really, really good. Zero sharp edges, zero anything. These are ball end frets. They're set in the neck very well. The action is super, super low. You know, and one of my big pet peeves on like these budget brand guitars is typically the headstock. I think the headstock is usually like, you know, hit or miss, most of the time miss, but I like this one a lot. I think it looks nice. And this is the way it showed up to me. It was set up in E standard. Actually, let's read the specs before I do this. This is an 𝐼RT EYP Omni24 2380. It has a scale length of 25.5 inches. The body is made out of roasted mahogany. The neck is a bolt-on roasted Canadian maple neck, and the fingerboard is a separate piece of roasted Canadian maple. It has a compound radius of 9.5 to 14 inches, which is super interesting. The neck profile is listed as a compound U to C shape. Oh, that's what's going on with the neck here. We have 24 jumbo stainless steel frets, a 42mm bone nut, a dual action bottom wheel truss rod. Under the electronics, we have 𝐼RT custom art tones. Our tones, like art, but tones also, not our tones, like art tones. Glad we had this talk. With a 3-way pickup selector switch, 1 volume, 1 tone, and a mini switch for coil splitting. It comes with 𝐼RT custom modern die-cast tuners. The bridge is an 𝐼RT custom 2-point synchronized tremolo, and these come in multiple finishes. The one we're looking at is black, but it's like sparkly black. You know, it's not just like black. FYI on that. And these guitars are normally $429 US. However, at the time of shooting this video, they are $386.10. I know it's a weird sale amount, but that's what it actually says on their website. Now, we will set up this guitar later on in this video. Normally, I would set it up in C standard, but they sent a set of strings. That is a tongue twister to say. They sent a set of strings with this guitar, so I'm gonna set it up in E, maybe like D standard. We'll see how chungus we can go with the strings they sent, but I wanna check out the strings that they sent with, you know? Like, why not? And another thing I really want to check out during the setup is I want to measure the neck. Because while this neck shape is very, very comfortable, I do want to measure how thick it is. Because it feels like on the medium to thick side for me. I always play guitars that have like super thin, shreddy necks, so, you know, anything outside that range just feels really foreign to me. So I do want to measure it, you know, for all of you so I can quantify it. If you can't tell already, the reason that I chose this amplifier in particular for this demo is because I think these pickups are voiced in a certain way, and it just works really well with a Marshall type amplifier. With that being said, let's go to a clean channel. I'll show you the different voicing options for the pickups. This is the bridge pickup. Coil split on the bridge. Coil split is super, super spanky. Let's go to the middle position. Coil split in the middle position. And the neck position. And coil split on the neck. A lot of options in the switchies here. Let's go back to chugga chugga, yeah? Let's boost it. Of course. It's just got a lot of that like 80s shred sort of sound to it, which is like not my forte, but you know, doing my best here. Yeah, even that coil split sounds really good with a lot of gain on it. Now, the first thing I noticed when I picked up this guitar was the neck shape. The neck shape does feel a little bit like on the thick side to me. You know, like maybe like a medium to medium thick sort of neck. But then when I read the specs and realized it was, you know, like a compound neck profile, it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense because it actually is thicker down here. You know, like if you want to get a grip on it and just, yeah, it's a little bit thicker down here and it gets flatter and shreddier as you go up. Actually pretty noticeable. Again, we'll measure this here in a few minutes, but you know, I just want to point it out while I'm playing it and it's in my hands. Now it does have sort of a slope on the neck heel here. It is really carved out though, right here. Like it's got pretty, you know, pretty decent fret access up here. You do have to grab on to this block if you're going high, you know, which this is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, but it's really not that bad. And there's no plate on it as well. You know, like when you have a plate and this part is square, it's a lot more to grab onto. I would prefer if this was slightly rounded out a little bit more, but you know, it's not bad. It's not egregious or anything like that. It's very comfortable to play, but we'll discover more about this guitar as we set it up and I measure things for you. Sorry, random black metal moment there. But speaking of the setup, let's get over to that. Okay, I've got the guitar up here on the table. I'm gonna restring it. I'm gonna put the Eart strings on, which this comes with a set of 10 to 46. So we'll put this in D standard, which is a nice happy medium in between my normal C standard and the E standard it comes in. So we'll see how much I have to adjust it. And as always, I'll point out anything that I find interesting or unusual. Let's get started. Strings are off. Let's look at the fretwork. You can see the fretwork on this guitar is very nice. If you look, you can see these fret ends are actually filed down inside the actual boundary of the fretboard. So absolutely zero sharp edges. I really like the way this fretboard looks too. They put the second piece of roasted maple. You can actually see it here. You can see the seam. We also have our truss rod adjustment down here, which I appreciate. This bridge is also machined really well. There's no sharp edges or anything like that. So if you lay your palm on it, you know, you're not gonna get scratched up. I like these knobs as well. Look at these things. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting choice for knobs here. And I also like having a switch versus having a push-pull on these things. I prefer this. I think the switch is cool. It's just satisfying to click, you know? Now with all that praise does come some criticism. These are not my favorite tuners. This is just a personal preference thing. I just don't really like the shape of these. This is just a personal taste thing, but you know, they're not my favorite. This fretboard's also very clean and very polished, but I'm gonna polish it up anyways, because why not? I'm here already. Real quick, I got a comment on my last video, someone asking me why I was using fast fret on the fretboard. If you read the back of it right here, yeah, it cleans your strings. It also prolongs your fingerboard life. And then right here, rub stick over strings and fingerboard. This is sort of like the fast method for me. Get it? Fast fret? This is sort of like the fast method for me. I personally like using citrus scented wood oil for my own personal guitars. But the nice thing about using something like fast fret is it does have an applicator and you can clean and condition the fretboard at the same time. So that's why I use it. There you go. Okay, so in my haste while I was setting up this guitar, I just forgot to measure the neck. It's funny because it's like the one thing I really wanted to do. I had to loosen the strings up so I could actually get this thing in here to measure it. Yeah, so this is 22 millimeters, just a shade over, 22.04 millimeters at the first fret. That is definitely on the medium to large side. Let's check the 12th fret here. 22.95. So this is indeed a pretty thick neck, especially for my taste. I like a neck thickness of 17 to 19 millimeters up here at the first fret, and then maybe 21 up here at the 12th fret. So quite a bit thicker than what I'm used to playing. But again, you know, neck thickness is only one aspect here. The one that's a lot harder to demonstrate is the actual shape of the neck. And the shape of the neck, surprisingly, is very comfortable for how thick it is. It's very easy to play. So anyways, glad we measured that. Okay, everything's set up in a, I don't have much to say, which is probably a good thing. I didn't really have to adjust, I didn't have to adjust the neck, I didn't have to intonate anything. You know, we did set it up in D standard with the included strings. I will say that these style of bridges are not my favorite bridges ever. You know, I would prefer an actual floating trem or a hardtail bridge. You know, this is a more modern Stratocaster style bridge, and these just aren't my favorite, but I do think it's really cool that it has this push-in, you know, arm. I think that's nice, but you know, you don't have a locking nut down here, so if you do too much whammy time, you're gonna go out of tune. But other than my own personal preferences and really my own personal biases, I can't find anything wrong with this guitar. Everything seems really solid built and really nice. So yeah, let's go plug it in and see what it sounds like in D standard. I don't know what it is today, I just feel saucy. I don't know if anyone's gonna get that reference. The Eart guitar is set up. It didn't really need anything. It was pretty much set up. But I did put new strings on it. Put it in D standard, which I feel like is a compromise. But it's better than E standard, you know, for the chugga chugga. And it does play very nicely. Let's boost this guy too, yeah? This guitar through this amp in particular sounds really good. It sounds really, it sounds very, very rock and roll. You know, my one issue that I'm having though, this guitar sounds really good, but these pickups are not super high output. Which isn't a bad thing. It's just like a preference thing. Like when I'm using a gate, it keeps trying to clamp down before, you know, I'm ready for it too. Like I'm having to turn down this gate quite a bit more than normal to get it to not clamp down early. So the differences in between, like, I'm gonna call these medium output pickups. That's, you know, what they feel like. They feel like a lower output pickup to me. The differences in between these pickups and then something more like higher output and compressed is maybe you don't have as much note definition and articulation, but when you do these big chords, here, let me just show you. Let me just show you the comparison here. So this guitar has a set of EMG X's in it. They're a little bit less compressed than like your standard EMG, but this is an 81X. Hopefully that illustrates the difference what I'm talking about here. This is more compressed. There's more articulation in the notes. There's a little bit more note separation, but it sounds that way. It sounds more compressed, like whereas with the Eart guitar, everything rings out and it doesn't have that same, it doesn't sound like it's being, the signal's being, if you know what I mean. Let's go back to the Eart guitar. Okay, so to wrap up my thoughts on this guitar, there's a lot of things on this guitar that are not my personal preferences. And while some of these things aren't my preferences, I can still see the value proposition in a lot of this. So for example, when I say some of these things are my preferences, the bridge, like I said earlier, you know, I prefer a hardtail bridge on a guitar like this or a full floating trem. Like if we're not gonna go Floyd Rose, I would just prefer a hardtail bridge on something like this. The pickups, I prefer really hot, high gain pickups, like EMGs are pretty much my go-to. I've been dabbling with Fishman's a lot lately. These are voiced more though towards something that I think speaks to this guitar. When I look at this guitar, I think rock and roll. And I'm not thinking like screeching metal chunga chunga riffs. I'm thinking more classic heavy metal. I don't know if all those words just made sense, but in my head it made sense. I think these pickups are more voiced to something like that. And then again, on the neck, I'm more used to like an Ibanez profile or a Jackson like I mean, almost all of the guitars in my hanger at this moment are Jacksons, coincidentally. But you know, that's just the neck profile that I'm used to, so this does feel a little bit thicker to me. But with that being said, the shape of the neck makes that thickness very, very comfortable. And again, when you just read over the spec sheet, it's kind of crazy what you get for the money. You know, you have the stainless steel ball and frets, you have the roasted maple neck with the roasted maple fingerboard. It's a separate fingerboard too, which I thought was really cool. It looks really good. I really, really like this black satin sparkle finish that the body has. I like the knobs. I think, like, you know, it's the little details, right? But these knobs are really cool and unique. And the thing that I think I like the most, which seems, you know, small, but I really, really like the coil split being a toggle switch like this. So that's my weird convoluted opinion on this guitar, but I can really appreciate the value that this guitar provides, especially right now it's on sale for under $400, which I think if you vibe with all this, it's a pretty good deal. All right, thank you so much to Eart for sending this guitar for me to check out for you guys. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate every single one of you. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. If you really like what I do here on this channel, consider being super overpowered and joining these beautiful people over on Patreon, where you get behind the scenes access and all sorts of other exclusive content, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.